If you ignore this, you might walk right past the very thing you've been praying for, the very answer you cried about in silence, the very breakthrough that heaven has already prepared in your name, because sometimes what God sends doesn't look like a miracle at first, sometimes it feels like discomfort, like a delay, like confusion, like something that doesn't make sense, and that's exactly why so many people miss it. Not because God didn't send it, but because they didn't recognize it. And right now, as you're listening to this, this is not random, this is not just another message scrolling past your screen, this is a moment, a divine interruption, a signal breaking through the noise of your everyday life, trying to get your attention before it's too late, because what's coming into your life next requires awareness. It requires sensitivity, it requires you to stop moving on autopilot and start seeing with spiritual eyes. Because God is not always loud, sometimes He whispers, and if your life is too noisy, if your mind is too distracted, if your heart is too closed, you will miss the whisper that could change everything. And you've been asking for change, you've been asking for direction, you've been asking for clarity, but are you ready to recognize it when it arrives in a form you didn't expect? Because the truth is, God rarely works the way we imagine. He doesn't follow our timelines. He doesn't operate within our limited understanding. He sees what we can't see, He knows what we don't know. And He prepares paths that don't always look like paths at first. Sometimes they look like endings, sometimes they look like closed doors, sometimes they look like people walking away, opportunities disappearing, plans falling apart, and you think it's loss, you think it's failure, you think it's rejection. But what if it's actually protection? What if it's redirection? What if it's the exact thing that's positioning you for something greater than what you were settling for? Because God will never allow you to hold on to something that's going to destroy the future He has planned for you, even if it hurts in the moment, even if you don't understand it right now. And that's why this message matters, because there is something unfolding in your life at this very moment that you might be misunderstanding, something you're about to ignore, something you're about to dismiss as coincidence, as bad luck, as nothing important. But it's not nothing. It's not random, it's not meaningless, it's a setup, it's a shift, it's a turning point, and if you ignore it, you risk staying stuck in the same cycle you've been trying to escape, the same patterns, the same frustrations, the same unanswered prayers, not because God didn't answer, but because you didn't notice when He did. And that's the hard truth most people don't want to hear. They want miracles, but they don't want awareness. They want blessings, but they don't want to pay attention. They want God to shout, but they ignore the whispers. And right now, this is your chance to do something different, to lean in instead of scrolling past, to listen instead of dismissing, to pause instead of rushing, because something about your life is about to change. And this moment could be the beginning of that change if you allow it to be, if you receive it, if you stay present long enough to understand what God is trying to show you, because every major transformation starts with a moment of awareness. A moment where something clicks, where something shifts inside you, where you suddenly see things differently, and that moment is happening right now. But only if you don't ignore it, only if you stay with it, only if you let it reach you on a deeper level, beyond just words, beyond just sound, into your spirit, into your intuition, into that quiet place inside you that already knows something is different, that already feels something stirring, something changing, something preparing to break through. And you've felt it, haven't you? That feeling that something is about to happen, that something in your life can't stay the same much longer, that something is building beneath the surface, even if you can't fully explain it, even if you don't have the details yet, you can feel it, and that feeling is not your imagination, it's confirmation, it's alignment, it's God preparing you before He reveals the full picture. Because if He showed you everything at once, it would overwhelm you, so instead, He gives you signals, nudges, small shifts, moments like this, and it's up to you to respond. It's up to you to decide whether you're going to stay asleep to it or wake up to it, whether you're going to ignore it or embrace it, whether you're going to stay where you are or step into what's waiting for you. Because what's waiting for you is not small, it's not ordinary, it's not something you can afford to miss, and that's why this message is urgent. That's why it's coming to you now, that's why it feels different. Because it is different, it's not just information, it's activation, it's not just words, it's a call, and the question is not whether God is speaking, the question is whether you're listening, whether you're paying attention, whether you're willing to recognize that this moment matters more than you think, that this could be the exact point where everything starts to shift, where clarity begins to replace confusion, where direction begins to replace uncertainty, where purpose begins to rise above doubt, but only if you don't ignore it, only if you stay present, only if you choose to receive what's being given to you right now, because what God has for you is already in motion, it's already on its way, it's already closer than you think, but you have to meet it halfway, you have to be aware enough to recognize it, bold enough to accept it, and wise enough not to dismiss it just because it doesn't look the way you expected. Because if you ignore this, you won't just miss a message, you might miss a moment that was meant to change your entire life. And what if the very thing you've been calling a delay is actually divine timing working in your favor? What if the reason nothing has fully come together yet is not because you're forgotten but because you're being prepared, shaped, strengthened in ways you cannot yet see? Because God is not just interested in giving you what you asked for. He is interested in making sure you are ready to carry it without losing yourself, without destroying it, without turning a blessing into a burden, and that preparation often feels uncomfortable. It feels like waiting, like confusion, like silence, like nothing is happening, but something is always happening beneath the surface, something is always aligning behind the scenes, doors are being arranged, people are being positioned, circumstances are being shifted, and while you think you're stuck, heaven is actually moving faster than you realize. But hey, race where most people make the mistake, they get tired of waiting, they start doubting, they start forcing things, they start running ahead of God instead of walking with Him, and in doing so they miss the exact moment where everything was about to come together naturally, effortlessly, perfectly timed, because they couldn't stay still long enough to receive it. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you've been trying to make things happen on your own, trying to control outcomes, trying to figure everything out, trying to push doors open that were never meant for you, and it's exhausting, isn't it? Constantly trying, constantly striving, constantly wondering why nothing feels right, why nothing feels aligned, and that's because alignment doesn't come from force, it comes from surrender, it comes from trust, it comes from recognizing that God sees a bigger picture than you ever could, and sometimes the greatest act of faith is not doing more. It's doing less, it's pausing, it's listening, it's allowing. Because what's meant for you will not require you to break yourself to obtain it, it will not require you to lose your peace to keep it, it will not require you to chase it endlessly as if it's trying to escape you. What God has for you will come with a sense of rightness, a sense of clarity, even if it still requires courage, even if it still requires you to step out of your comfort zone, it will not feel like chaos. It will feel like confirmation, and right now there are signs around you. Subtle but real, moments that are trying to guide you, feelings that are trying to warn you, instincts that are trying to redirect you, but if you ignore them, if you brush them off, if you silence that inner voice, you risk walking in the opposite direction of your blessing, not because God moved it, but because you moved away from it, and that's why awareness is everything. Awareness is what separates those who step into their purpose from those who stay stuck in cycles. Awareness is what allows you to see opportunities where others see problems, to see lessons where others see failures, to see divine timing where others see delay, and right now you are being invited into that awareness. You are being called to elevate the way you see your life, to stop viewing everything as random and start recognizing the patterns, the connections, the meaning behind what's happening, because nothing in your life is accidental. Every delay, every redirection, every unexpected turn is carrying information. It's trying to teach you something, show you something, prepare you for something, and if you ignore it, you don't just miss the lesson, you repeat the cycle. You go through the same situation in a different form, with different people, but the same outcome, until you finally stop and pay attention, until you finally understand what was being shown to you all along. And the truth is, you are closer than you think. Closer to clarity, closer to breakthrough, closer to the life you've been asking for. But closeness can be dangerous if you're not aware, because many people give up right before things change. Many people walk away right before the answer arrives. Many people ignore the final sign because they've become numb, tired, distracted, and they miss it, not because it didn't come, but because they stopped looking, they stopped listening, they stopped believing that anything could still change. And that's why this moment matters so much, because it's asking you to stay awake a little longer, to stay open a little deeper, to stay aware just a little more, because what's coming next in your life is not something you want to miss, it's not something you want to overlook, it's not something you want to accidentally walk past because you were too distracted or too doubtful or too focused on what isn't working yet, because what's about to work will make everything that didn't make sense finally come together. It will make every delay make sense, every closed door make sense, every moment of confusion make sense, but only if you're still paying attention when it happens. Only if you haven't shut down, only if you haven't convinced yourself that nothing is changing, because something is changing, something is shifting right now, even if you can't fully see it yet, even if you don't have proof yet, even if it still feels uncertain, the shift is happening, the alignment is forming, the path is clearing, and your only job in this moment is not to force it, not to rush it, not to control it, but to recognize it, to stay present enough to notice when the opportunity appears, when the door opens, when the right connection comes into your life, when the sudden clarity hits your mind, because those moments will not always come with loud announcements, they will often come quietly, subtly, almost easy to overlook if you're not paying attention. And that's why ignoring this message could cost you more than you realize, because it's not just about hearing words. It's about activating awareness, it's about shifting your perspective, it's about preparing you so that when the moment arrives, you don't hesitate, you don't doubt, you don't miss it, you step into it fully, confidently, knowing that this is what you've been waiting for. This is what everything has been leading up to, this is what God has been preparing you for all along, and when that moment finally arrives, it won't come with a warning. It won't announce itself with noise or give you endless time to decide. It will appear quietly, almost like any other moment, and that is exactly why so many people miss it, because they are waiting for something dramatic, something obvious, something undeniable, but God often moves in simplicity, in subtle shifts, in small doors that don't look impressive at first glance, in opportunities that require faith before they reveal their full value. And if you've trained your mind to only respond to what is loud, what is flashy, what feels instantly rewarding, you will overlook the very thing that was meant to elevate your life. And that's why discernment matters more than excitement, because not everything that excites you is meant for you, and not everything that is meant for you will excite you at first. Some things will challenge you, stretch you, push you into unfamiliar territory where you have to rely on trust instead of certainty, and that is where most people hesitate. That is where doubt creeps in. That is where fear starts whispering that you're not ready, that you should wait longer, that you should play it safe. But what if safe is exactly what's been keeping you stuck? What if the reason nothing has changed is because you've been choosing comfort over calling, familiarity over faith, and now you're standing at a point where you have to decide, not with logic alone, not with fear leading the way, but with a deeper awareness that something about this moment is different. Something about this opportunity feels aligned. Even if it doesn't feel easy, because what God places in front of you will often require courage to accept. It will require you to let go of old versions of yourself, old habits, old beliefs, even old relationships that no longer fit where you're going, and letting go is never easy, even when it's necessary, even when it's part of your growth, because we tend to hold on to what is familiar even when it's limiting us, even when it's preventing us from stepping into something greater, and that's why ignoring this moment can be so dangerous, because it's not just about missing an opportunity, it's about staying tied to a version of your life that you've already outgrown. It's about choosing the known over the necessary, the comfortable over the transformative, and deep down, you already know there is more for you. You already feel that your current situation is not your final destination, that there is another level, another chapter, another version of your life waiting to unfold, but getting there requires awareness, it requires action, it requires you to respond when the signal comes instead of hesitating until it passes, because opportunities don't wait forever, moments don't repeat endlessly, and while God is patient, timing still matters, alignment still matters. Your willingness to move when you are called still matters, and right now, something inside you is being stirred, something is being awakened. A realization that you cannot keep ignoring the signs, you cannot keep dismissing the nudges, you cannot keep pretending that everything is the same when you can feel that it's not, because growth always begins with awareness, and awareness always demands a response. It asks you to do something different, to think differently, to choose differently, and that choice might feel uncomfortable at first, it might feel uncertain, it might even feel risky, but staying the same is the real risk. Ignoring what God is placing in front of you is the real danger, because it keeps you in cycles that were never meant to be permanent. It keeps you repeating lessons that you were supposed to learn and move beyond, and at some point, you have to decide that you are done repeating, that you are ready to recognize, ready to respond, ready to step into what has been waiting for you, not someday, not later, but now, because now is all you ever truly have. Now is where decisions are made, now is where paths change. Now is where your future begins to take shape, and if you ignore this Now, you delay everything that could have started here, everything that could have shifted in this very moment, and that's why this message is not just something to hear, it's something to act on, something to internalize, something to carry with you beyond this moment, because the next time you feel that nudge, that quiet push, that unexpected opportunity, you will remember this, you will recognize it, and instead of hesitating, instead of doubting, instead of ignoring it, you will move, you will trust, you will step forward even if you don't have all the answers yet, because you understand now that clarity doesn't always come before action, sometimes it comes because of it, sometimes the path only reveals itself once you start walking, and the step you take in faith becomes the very thing that unlocks everything that follows, and when you look back, you will realize that this moment, this exact moment right here, was the turning point, the moment you stopped ignoring, the moment you started seeing, the moment you chose to align with what God had already prepared for you, and everything that comes after will trace back to this decision, this awareness, this choice not to miss what was always meant for you. And the truth that most people never realize until much later is that missing what God has for you is rarely about a single big mistake, it's almost always about small moments of hesitation, small acts of ignoring, small decisions to delay, to doubt, to look away when something deep inside was telling you to pay attention, because destiny is not just shaped by the obvious choices, it's shaped by the quiet ones, the ones nobody sees, the ones that happen in your mind and in your heart when you feel that pull and you either respond to it or you suppress it, and over time those small decisions either move you closer to what was meant for you or further away from it. And that's why awareness is not a one-time thing. It's a way of living, it's a mindset you carry into every moment, every decision, every opportunity, because once you begin to see how God moves, once you begin to recognize the patterns, the timing, the way things align in ways that logic alone cannot explain, you start to understand that nothing is truly random. Nothing is without purpose, even the things that felt like setbacks, even the moments that felt like losses, they were all part of a larger design, a preparation process that was shaping you into someone who could actually receive and sustain what is coming next, because what God has for you is not just about arrival, it's about readiness. It's about becoming the kind of person who can walk into that blessing without fear, without self-sabotage, without shrinking back into old habits when things start to expand. And that level of readiness doesn't happen overnight, it's built through moments like this, moments where you choose awareness over distraction, faith over fear, action over hesitation, because every time you respond correctly to a nudge, every time you trust that inner direction even when it doesn't fully make sense yet, you are strengthening something within you, you are aligning yourself more deeply with your path, and alignment creates momentum, and momentum is what carries you into breakthroughs faster than you ever thought possible. But the opposite is also true, every time you ignore, every time you delay, every time you convince yourself that it's not important, that you'll deal with it later, that you'll wait until you feel more ready, you slow that momentum down, you create resistance, you keep yourself in a place that you were never meant to stay in for long, and eventually that resistance turns into frustration, into confusion, into the feeling that nothing is moving, that nothing is changing, when in reality the movement was always there, the change was always trying to happen, but it required your participation, your awareness, your willingness to move with it instead of against it, and this is where everything shifts for you, not because something outside suddenly becomes different, but because you become different, because you start to see differently, think differently, respond differently, and that internal shift is what unlocks external change, because your life will always reflect your level of awareness, your level of belief, your level of willingness to act on what you feel is right. And right now you are being invited into a higher level of all of that, a higher level of awareness where you no longer brush things off as coincidence, a higher level of belief where you trust that what is meant for you is already making its way toward you, and a higher level of action where you no longer hesitate when the moment calls for you to move, and stepping into that level requires a decision. A clear intentional decision that you are done ignoring, done delaying, done doubting. Every sign, every nudge, every opportunity that doesn't come wrapped exactly the way you expected, because expectation is one of the biggest reasons people miss what God has for them. They create an image in their mind of how things should look, how opportunities should appear, how blessings should arrive. And when reality doesn't match that image, they reject it, they overlook it, they walk away from it, not realizing that what they were looking for was right in front of them in a different form. And that's why flexibility is part of awareness, the ability to recognize value even when it looks unfamiliar, even when it feels different from what you imagined, because God is not limited by your expectations. He will bring things into your life in ways that challenge your perception, in ways that stretch your understanding, in ways that force you to grow beyond what you thought you needed. And if you stay open, if you stay aware, if you stay willing to see beyond the surface, you will begin to notice something incredible. You will begin to notice that things are not just happening to you, they are happening for you, guiding you, shaping you, positioning you step by step into a life that is far greater than anything you could have planned on your own. But that life is not automatic. It requires your engagement, your awareness, your decision to step into it when the opportunity appears. And that is the final piece that most people miss. They wait for everything to be perfect, for everything to be clear, for everything to feel certain. But certainty is not a requirement for movement. Awareness is, trust is, willingness is, and when you combine those, when you decide that you will no longer ignore what you feel deep inside, that you will no longer dismiss the moments that seem small but feel significant, that you will no longer let fear or doubt hold you back from responding when it matters, everything begins to change, not slowly, not eventually, but in ways that feel immediate, in ways that feel real, because you are finally in alignment with what has been trying to reach you all along. And from that point forward, your life will no longer be defined by missed moments. It will be defined by recognized opportunities, by taken chances, by a deep unshakable awareness that when God places something in front of you, it is never by accident, it is always by design. And your only responsibility is to see it, to trust it, and to step into it without ignoring it ever again.